If you've been watching the Darrell Brooks trial, you've no doubt heard this question asked numerous times.
Is that lawful law? Is that lawful law? Is it lawful law?
Sir.
Is it lawful law?
In case you're unfamiliar, Darrell Brooks is a habitual criminal, serial domestic abuser, mass murderer, and registered sex offender who on November 21st, 2021, drove his car through an annual Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin, killing 6 people and injuring over 60 others. He was charged and convicted on 76 criminal counts, in a trial where he chose to represent himself as a sovereign citizen. Now, if you ask any judge, lawyer, or legal scholar, this is a meaningless statement. No lawyer ever asks this question in court, and it's because the question is ultimately trivial. This is because a law is by definition lawful, and an unlawful law is by definition not a law. This definition is circular. It's merely pointing out the principle of non-contradiction, that a law cannot both be a law and not a law at the same time. But philosophically, what is a law? A law is a rule applied by the state using force. A law is only lawful if it can be enforced, hence why Brooks was held in custody pre-trial on $5 million bail, which at that point, why even give him bail? Doesn't make any sense. Why he was shackled to a table during the trial, why the court does in fact have subject matter jurisdiction over Brooks's crimes, why his consent is irrelevant to him being tried and convicted, and why he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Burn in hell, you piece of shit!
Because the laws that state all these things can happen can be enforced. And they're only enforceable because the state has a monopoly on violence. This means the state is the only entity that can legitimately use violence to enforce its rules. When we're talking about violence, we should avoid unnecessary moralizing. We're not looking at violence as inherently good or bad. Most of us want the state to use violence against people like Darrell Brooks to prevent him from hurting others. In fact, the law cannot exist without violence. Philosopher Walter Benjamin said, quote, "For the function of violence in lawmaking is twofold, in the sense that lawmaking pursues as its ends, with violence as the means, what is to be established as law, but at the moment of instatement does not dismiss violence. Rather, at this very moment of lawmaking, it specifically establishes as law, not an end unalloyed by violence, but one necessarily and intimately bound to it under the title of power. Lawmaking is power-making, assumption of power, and to that extent an immediate manifestation of violence. Violence is the means by which the law achieves its desired end. The power that is created through law is inherently negative. It is the power to take something away from you, whether property, money, or your freedom. One of my favorite portrayals of this concept comes from the HBO series Game of Thrones. In this scene, Lord Peter of House Baelish is talking with Queen Cersei of House I Fuck My Brother. Baelish is trying to be cheeky with Cersei by pointing out how knowledge is a form of power, to which Queen Cersei offers a different opinion about what power is.
Prominent families often forget a simple truth. I've found.
And which truth is that?
Knowledge is power.
Seize him. Cut his throat. Stop. Oh, wait. I've changed my mind. Let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Close your eyes. Power is power. Do see if you can take some time away from your coins and your whores to locate the Star Girl for me. I would very much appreciate it.
Now that's a lawful law. For another real-world example of this, we'll look at an arraignment involving a woman named Keisha Johnson. Johnson is another sovereign citizen who had to appear in a Louisville, Kentucky court on some cannabis charges. Victimless crimes. As with all sovereign citizens, she was insufferable throughout the entire procedure, asking about whether there is a lawful law saying she has to be here, and whether the court has jurisdiction over her, which is just asking whether the court has the power to enforce the law.
Come on up here, ma'am.
I would like to stand here.
No, you stand at this podium.
Awesome. Can you tell me what,
Ma'am, you have to come up here. We can't record
what
your
laws
back.
you guys operate under?
The laws of the state of Kentucky.
Yes. As in like amateur law, common statutory.
Come up here and stand at this podium. I have to get you on the record so that we can see you with your argument.
Okay, well, for on the record, I reserve my right before crossing this bench.
This judge is actually trying to be patient with her. He just wants her to come up to the podium so that she can be heard on the record.
Well, Mr. Johnson, I really don't want to create some big scene.
Well,
Hang on for a second. I do not
I'm
want to lock you up, but I may very well have to. I need for you to come up here and stand at this podium.
Can I just sit there so I can
No,
know
you
my
cannot.
proceedings for common law?
No, you cannot. You have to come up here and stand at this podium.
When she finally does come to the podium, she starts going into the typical sovereign citizen nonsense.
You're charged with possession of marijuana, tampering with physical evidence, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
I don't understand any of that.
All right. Well, you're charged with illegally possessing marijuana.
I don't understand any of those charges.
There's not a whole lot more I can do to try to explain to you.
Okay, let's start here. Can you guys prove jurisdiction? Prove jurisdiction, because I come in under common law. Prove your jurisdiction, that you have jurisdiction over me. Prove jurisdiction. A court cannot proceed until you guys prove jurisdiction. Show me your jurisdiction. Show me your law.
All right. All of our laws are codified in the Kentucky Revised Statute.
Show me jurisdiction. Show me the law.
Hey, here you go.
The judge finally proves how he has subject matter jurisdiction by ordering her to be taken into custody.
Okay, that doesn't prove that you have jurisdiction.
Okay, so what else? Now, there's a simple way for me to prove jurisdiction to you. I'm going to ask the deputy to go ahead and take you into custody.
Under what charges?
Under
what charges?
You are disrupting my court. All right, we're going to pass her case to tomorrow.
You guys have been mistreated and it's wrong. Under common law, under the United States Constitution. And if they keep doing this and let us...
And with just those few words from the judge, 6 different bailiffs jump into action without question to enforce the lawful law. After spending a night in jail, all of her questions about lawful laws and subject matter jurisdiction are gone. It seems they've been answered for her.
Alright, so this is Miss Johnson. We'll note that she's in custody today. She's brought over and present.
And she'd like to make a statement to the court.
I had time to think about it, and I believe and I've learned that I need to represent myself in a respectable manner while in front of the judge.
Okay, so obviously that behavior will not be tolerated. That's why you ended up where you are.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope it clears up any confusion on what a lawful law is, and I wanted to provide a philosophical explanation for it. Obviously, it's very entertaining watching sovereign citizen arguments play out in court, especially the Darrell Brooks trial. I'll admit there's a little bit of enjoyment in watching these people proven so wrong and getting so owned every time. Please do all the YouTubey things, and I'll see you the next time you make a wrong turn in one of my strange corners of thought. Bye. Special thanks to you, Srepit, for supporting the channel on Patreon.